Hello guys, today we are going to movie review. Movie name is Scorned 1994. Title Scorned, also known in some release as a Woman Scorned, year 1994. Genre erotic thriller revenge drama. Director Andrew Stevens. Stars Shannon Tweed, Andrew Stevens, Stephen Young, Kim Morgan Green. Runtime 1 hour 40 minutes. Rating R. The story centers on Patricia Langley, whose husband commits suicide after losing a business opportunity to this friend. Alex Weston. Devastated and furious, Patricia changes her identity and systematically infiltrates Alex's family to exact calculated revenge, seducing manipulation, and psychological terrorizing them. Plot and theme. Scorned taps into classic 90s erotic thriller tropes, obeisance, betrayal, seduction, and retribution. The narrative in reminiscent of film like The Hand, The Rocks, The Cradle, where a scorned woman ended. The film makes with suspension as Patricia seduces the husband, mother, and even the teenage son. Yes, that element is part of the movie controversial content, aiming to dismantle the family structure in revenge for her loss. Critical reception. Professional and aggregated score. Scorned does not have many formal critical reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. There are too few to generate a tomato score, but audience ratings are sparse and lukewarm. IMDb rating around 5.2, 10 from 2600 plus rating. Overall, it's seen as a mid-tier genre film, not outright terrible but hardly remarkable. Of critically acceptable performance and character. Shannon Tweed carries the film with strong screen presence. Her role is central. They dominates every scene with the seducing searching of revealing her true motion. Supporting actors Andrew Stevens, Stephen Young, others are generally viewed as competent but mostly plot vehicles rather than deeply layered characters. Some audience viewers appreciate Tweed's commitment to the female fatal role, even if the material itself is cliched. Style and execution. What works? For fans of late-night cable thrillers, the film delivers exactly what's what's expected: tension, seductive drama, and revenge. A plot then that keeps moving forward. The pacing is risk enough that it rarely stalls. What doesn't the screenplay relies heavily on tried and true match from the genre with the new surprise. Logic isn't always tight. Discussion by characters can feel contrived to survey the revenge narrative. Some reviews wise and find the erotic elements more prominent than genuine suspense. Imagines a retrospective review called it "Hand That Rocks the Cradle" knock-off with the standard production value and little innovation. Audience reaction, viewers' response are mixed. Some enjoy it as guilty pleasure entertainment, especially if you are into 1990s erotic thrillers with a dark edge. Others find the story predictable and implausible, thought still entertaining in a so bad it's a funny way. Overall verdict is Scorned 1994 worth watching? Yes, if you like classic 90s erotic thriller, revenge plot with seductive tension, Shannon tweet in a women federal role. My way skip if you want strong characters development, groundbreaking storytelling, high production value or serious critical exclaim. Scorned is serviceable genre films with cult appeal, especially for fans of the era and style, but it alright. Here is a much more detailed full-length review of Scorned 1994 deeper story breakdown, character psychology, themes, and ending explanation. No rush, read like a movie explained article. Scorned 1994 full movie review and deep explanation. Genre erotic thriller, psychological revenge, drama, tone, dark, seductive, manipulative, slowly disturbing. Core idea of the movie: Scorned is built on the powerful idea what happens when grip turns into obsession and obsession becomes calculated revenge. Unlike action-based revenge film, this movie focuses on psychological destruction, not physical violence. The weapons here is seduction, lies, and emotional manipulation. Story summary step by step opinion life. Shattered. The movie begins with Patricia Langley living a seemingly stable life with her husband, but everything collapses with her husband commits suicide after losing a crucial business deal. This is the emotional trigger. This is the emotional trigger of the film. Patricia believer her husband was betrayed. His best friend Alex Weston indirectly destroyed him. The system failed them, but from this point, Patricia stop being a victim and start becoming a planner. Transformation from window to predator. Patricia doesn't go after Alex immediately. Instead, she changes her identity, reinvents her personality, studies Alex's family life carefully. This is important. This movie shows her petition. She is not impulsive. This wants Alex to feel the same pain that she felt slowly. Infiltration of the Western family. Patrician enters Alex's life, pretending to be harmless and supportive one way on the world. She targets each family members. Alex Weston Andrews Stevens. She seduces him emotionally first, makes him feel regard and understood. Character cracks in his marriage. Alex represents guilt and moral weakness. He is not evil, but he is selfish and careless. Alex's wife, Patricia, subtle poisons her confidence. This part shows how revenge doesn't need violence, just mental pressure. The son most controversial elements, Patrician manipulative his long lines and curiosity, cross ethics boundaries, deliberately. This moment clearly shows Hajj has lost moral limits. There is where the audience realize Patricia is no longer just evening, she is consummate and very logic. Patrick's Ragley Shannon tweets she is not written as a simple villain. She is intelligent, emotionally broken, addicted to control. Her seduction is not about pleasure, it's about power. At first, you sympathize, with her pain. Whether you fear how far she is willing to go, she represents unchecked grief turning into curiosity. Alex Weston Alex is the perfect target, not innocent, not fully guilty, weak when tempted. He never expects conjugation to arrive in such a personal way, direction and line. Visual style, subtle lighting, Raven, column hiding darkness, intimate camera work during conformation, music slow mood background score, enhance tension rather than shock. The movie doesn't touch it, lets discomfort grow naturally. Key themes revenge versus justice. Is Patrick seeking justice on Rust relief from pain? The movie clearly leans toward revenge, gives satisfaction, not healing. Power thought is seduction. Romantically, it's transactional and manipulative. Grief can corrupt. Loss doesn't always make people stronger. Sometimes it creates monsters. Controversial escapes the movie deliberately cross moral lines. Some scans are meant to make viewers uncomfortable. This way common in 90s erotics thrillers, but feels behavior today. This is why Scorned is often labeled as disturbing but watchable. Climax and ending explained as Patricia's plan nears completion. Line sister collapsing. The ending doesn't celebrate her victory. Instead, it leaves you with a sense of emptiness. No true winner. Life permanently damaged. Patricia achieved revenge but lost herself completely. Performance Shane tweet. This is one of her more serious role, controlled, cold, emotionally layered. She carries the film supporting cast. They survey the story well but remains secondary entirely. So final verdict rating 6/10 on. Good for fans of 90s erotic thriller. What should I call? Revenge story. Slow burn tension, not for viewers seeking realism. Fast-paced action, clean moral storytelling. Final thought. Scorned 1994 is not a masterpiece, but is perfectly represent its era. It's a movie about now. When someone is pushed too far, they don't just fight back. They transform. Gordon has even more deep dive, scans by scan style explanation, hidden meaning, symbolism, trivia, and why Scorned in 1994 feel disturbing even today. This is written like a long YouTube movie explained. Script Scorned in 1994. Extended full movie explanation. Act 1 The birth of revenge. Opening atmosphere. The movie opens quietly, no loud music, no shouts. This claims it important. It mirror Patrician's life before tragedy. Her husband and suicide is not so in sensation way. Instead, it emotionally cold, almost distant. This tells us the real horror won't be that. It will be what comes after the emotional turning point. Patricia doesn't scream. She doesn't break things. She goes numb. This numbness is key of her transformation. The film substyle suggests she stops seeing people as human. They become targets. Act 2. The web is built. Real mission. Patricia erase her past, never identify, never personality, never emotion mask, symbolize her. She kills her old self before harming anyone else. This makes her revenge feel inevitable, not impulsive. Study the enemy. She watches Alex's family like a scientist who is weak, who feels ignored, who needs validation. This is one of the most chilling aspects of the film. Patricia doesn't attack strength, she attacks emotional gaps. Attack 3. Seduction as a weapon. Why seduction? The movie never treats seduction as romance. It shows as a tool, a transaction, a physiological invasion. Patrician doesn't want love, she wants control, breaking the family from inside. Instead of confirmation Alex directly, she creates, disturbs, triggers jealous, weakens relationship. The mirror, her belief, if my family was destroyed from the inside, your should be too. Why the movie feels so uncomfortable. This film doesn't rely on jump scare or violence. It feels possible. It happens slowly. Nobody realizes the danger until it's too late. Patricia blends is perfectly like a parasite character analysis, deeper level. Patricia Langley, tragic villain. She starts as a triggering window. She ends as someone who justifies cruelty, rationalized destruction, no longer feels cold. The film never excuses her action, but it shows how she arrived there. That's what makes her terrifying. Alex Weston, passive coiled. Alex is the most the film praises moral laziness, emotional negligence, avoiding responsibility. Alex biggest crime isn't betrayal, it's think his action would matters. Music and cinematography, underrated elements, music slow, minimal, often silent during tense moments. Silence forces the audience to sit with discomfort, camera work, close up during manipulative, static shots when lies are told, framing even during emotional chows. This makes everything feel controlled, just like Patricia. The climax, not a triumph, unlike typical revenge movie. This no victory speech, no satisfaction, no emotional release. When Patricia's plan nears completion, the tone changes. She looks emptier, less expressive, almost hollow. The movie makes a clear point. Revenge doesn't heal, it replaces pain with emptiness, ending what it really means. The ending is intentionally unsatisfying. No character true wins. Patricia gets revenge, lost her humanity. Alex survives, lost his family, stability. The audience is left disturbed, not entertained. Hidden themes most people miss. Identify is fragile. The movie suggests personality. Each situation gives the right trauma. Anyone can become someone. Evil can be polite. Patricia is calm, soft spoken. Patricia is calm, soft and spoken, attractive. The film warns the most dangerous people don't look dangerous. Why this movie is strangely in the 90s, erotic thriller were common. Moral ambiguity was popular. Today, the movie feels darker, less playful, more disturbing. That's why Scorned now has cult level seriously, cult status and legacy. This movie is remembered not because it's great, but because it unsettlingly. People remember the manipulation, the slow burn, the moral discomfort. It stay in your head longer than better made film. Final excellent verdict rating 5 star. Impact physiological disturbing rewatch value low but memorable. This is not a fun movie. It's a warning decision as a thriller. Best way to use this movie for you science. You often ask for movie explanation, voice or script, YouTube style content. Scorned is perfect for dark movie explanation video, alien physiological breakdown, 90s thriller, retrospective. Alright, here is the most detailed way, depth explanation of Scorned 1994, writing like a long form movie explained. This documentary plus sketch by scan narrative plus symbolism plus trivia. This is basically everything the movie is after fully unpacked. Scorned 1994 Ultimate Full Movie Breakdown. Slow burn. Psychological erotic thriller act 0 to 20 minutes tragedy without noise opening mood. The film begins in quiet normalcy, middle class comfort, polite conservation claim visual. This claim is intentional. The directors want you to feel safe before dismantling everything. The suicide emotional, not shocking. Patricia husband's suicide is not violent, almost emotionally distant. This tells us something serious. The movie is not about death, it's about aftermath. Scored in 1994 Ultimate Movie Breakdown. Slow burn, physiological, erotic thriller, Act 1, 0 to 10 minute, 30-minute tragedy without noise, opening mood. The film begins in quiet normalcy, middle class, competent, polite conversion claim visual. This claim is intentional. The director wants you to feel safe before dismantling everything. The suicide emotional, not shocking. Patricia husband and suicide is not dramatic, not violent, almost emotionally distant. This tells us something crucial. The movie is not about death, it's about aftermath. Patricia doesn't try loudly. This internalize everything. Physiological notes. This is classical emotional dissociation after being before extreme behavior. Act 2, 20 to 40 minute grief turns into purpose. Fiction begins. Patrician grief finds direction. Alex Weston. She convinces herself Alex didn't pull the trigger, but he pulled the string. This belief becomes a moral justification. The movie never confirms she is right that ambiguity is intentional. Identify that Patricia doesn't rush revenge. She signs her name, alters her personality, rehearses emotions. This is one of the darkest ideas in the film. Revenge requires patience, and patience required killing you were actually 40 to 70 minutes. The web of manipulative, entertaining Western family. Patricia enters as friendly, helpful, non-threatening. She does not appear sexual at first. These key predictors never announce themselves, targeting weakness, not strength. Each family member is chosen carefully. Alexa will underappreciate this unsolved guilt craves validation while emotionally neglected, ensures afraid of being replayed, lonely, serious, emotionally ignored. Patrician doesn't for anything she ate. There are no genius twists, not unrealistic cinema. Says miss everything Patrician doesn't it. Social, plausible, psychological, believable, slowly escalated. That's why the movie disturbs people long after it ends. Act 4, 17 to 19 minute moral collapse, crossing the line. It this stage revenge becomes addiction, control becomes pleasure, morality reshapes. This is where the audience stops sympathizing. The movie makes you watch that transition, not skip it. Patricia is no longer humanized. Her expression become color, her reactions slower, her emotions flatter. She has achieved her goals but lost emotional range. Symbolism most people miss. Mirror. Patricia is often shown near mirror. This represents dual identity, loss of self, performance emotions. The mouse, the Western home looks warm and safe but becomes emotionally hostile, physiological, unstable. The mirror petitions inner state, sound design, silence weapons, music faded during manipulation, silence replaced dramatic. At 5 main final 30 20 minute empty victory, the collapse. Patricia is line start interesting tension series control weakness explore become possible, yet there's no dramatic explanation. Instead, everything simply feels running. The ending meaning explained. No one wins. Patricia complete has no identity left. Lies but loves trust. What the movie is really saying. Revenge is not closure, it doesn't end pain and extend into other evil doesn't need anger. Patrician is claim control. The film warms the most dangerous people are emotionally quiet. Travis production facts Shannon was famous for erotic roles, but this is one of her coldest performances. The film was made quickly, typical of 90s thriller. It gained popularity for late-night cable TV, often compared to The Hand that rocks the cradle, but darker in tone. What is ethical appeal? People remember Scorned because it's uncomfortable, it doesn't. You don't enjoy it, you remember it. Ultimate final verdict rating for 3 star with honor. Strength, physiological realism, weakness, limited prediction value. Scorned 1994 is not entertainment, it's slow physiological erosion. This quest is a thriller for your use. Very important based on your previous question. This movie is perfect for 15 to 20 minute YouTube voice over. Alright, we are going beyond the normal review now. This is the final year advanced analysis, comparison, alternate interpretation, facts and controversy, discussion, and why this movie quietly works even when it's scheduled. Scorned in 1994 finally died, no stone left unturned. Advanced physiological interpretation. Patricia is not crazy, she is functional. One of the most disturbing things about Scorned is this: Patricia never lost control. She plans rationally, speaks calmly, blends into society. This puts her closer to high functioning physical, not emotionally breakdown victims. The movie quietly suggests trauma doesn't always break. It's Patricia, an unreliable narration, important theory. The film never proves Alex directly caused her husband's suicide. Everything we believe comes from Patricia's perspective, her emotional logic, her need for blame theory. Patricia needed a villain, and Alex fit the role. This reframed the entire movie. Revenge might be based on assumption. The destruction could be misdirection, ignorance, and cult blue completely. The ambiguity elevates the film more than people realize. Moral philosophy of the film: justify versus emotionally satisfaction. The movie argues that justice requires truth, revenge requires belief. Patricia chooses belief, and belief doesn't need proof. Why this movie was and still is controversial, boundary crossing, manipulative. The film intentionally shows emotional exploitation, power imbalance, predatory behavior. It does not justify it, but it doesn't soften it either. No clear moral cleanup. Most thrillers punish the villain, restore order. Scorned refused to that this unsettable audience then and still does no comparison with similar movies. Important context: The Hand That Rocked the Cradle, 1992. More polished, clear villains, shaper storytelling, Scorned director, more personal, less comforting. Scorned feels more real, even it feels cinematic. Fatal Attraction, 1987. Obsession driven by rejection, scorn, obsession driven by grief. This makes tradition more tragic and more dangerous. Single white female, 1992, identified that pathological mourning. Scorned identify eraser, emotional invention. Why Shannon tweets performance matters. Many people dismiss her because of Jenner's reputation, but there's truth. She plays Patricia with restraint, minimal melodrama, cold emotional economy, a louder performance hold behind the film. Her claim is the horror symbolic railing eye level grip is equal to fuel. Grief is not portrayed as sadness, it's portrayed as energy looking for direction. Revenge structure. Revenge gives Patricia routine purpose identify. When it ends, she has nothing left. Frequently asked question answered. It's Patricia the villain. Emotionally, yes. Moral, complicated. Psychological, invincible. Does the movie justify her actions? No explains, no excuse, no. That destination is crucial. Why does the ending feel empty? Because the movie succeeded closer world betrayed its theme, alternate ending, interpretation. Some viewers believe Katya is already dead emotionally. Why the final act meaning? The revenge is just a momentum. The outcome no longer matters to her. This explains her flat effect, lacks of satisfaction, emotionally become Why this movie is better than its reputation? It fails as a mainstream thriller, a polished out studio film, but it succeeds as a character's study, a physiological warning, a dark moral experiment, a final verdict. Scorned in 1994 is a movie that doesn't want you cheer, doesn't want you to relax, doesn't want you to feel safe. It wants you to ask, if I lost everything, who would become? And that's why it stays with you. Alright, well, I'll go one level deeper than deep. This is extra material, scans, micro-analysis, dialogue, meaning, pacing, math, why it work on cable TV, censorship, talk, and how to present it as a premium YouTube content. Scorned 1994 Extreme Depth Addendum. This is the kind of analysis people usually don't write. Scans by scans, micro breakdown, structure matters. Scan 1 to 5, emotional naturality. Notice something unusual. No dramatic grief montage, no screaming breakdown, no melodramatic music. This teaches the audience how to watch the movie. Emotion will be suppressed to expressed. The movie feels repetitive. That's not a play. Patricia repeats, resting, validating, waiting, repeating, conditioning. She conditioned the family emotionally. She same way predictor to late actor. Late act speed and near the end scans get shorter, cuts get tigers, conversation feels abrupt. This signals control is lapping. Control it's slipping. The movie doesn't say it, edit it, dialogues, analysis. Very important, Patricia rarely argues recessor, her voice defends herself. Instead, she asks questions, reflects emotional backs, lets other increments himself. This is textbook physiological mirroring. His power is not seduction, it's emotional permission. Why no one suspects her realism detail? Patricia succeeded because she never asked for anything directly. She lets other offer. She never rushes intimacy. Real manipulators don't push the weight. This is why the film feels uncomfortably real. Pacing signs why it feels slow but heavy. Average scan length early, long, middle, medium, and short. This mirror claim control collapse. Many thrillers do the opposite. Scorned use philosophical pacing, not action pacing. Why this movie worked on 90s cable TV? This film because popular because late night viewing, private atmosphere, no audience pressure. It's a movie meant to be watched alone quietly without distraction. In theaters, it feels flat at night. It feels invasive. In some regions, certain manipulative scans vary time emotional context was shortened. This made the movie seem more erotic, less physiological, which hurts its reputation. The uncut version makes Patricia career not why modern audience reacted differently. 1994 audience focused on scandal, erotic thriller trend. Modern audience focused on manipulation, physiological abuse, power, imbalance. The movie is the darkest note because what the movie never shows a smart choice. It never shows Patricia celebrating. Patricia relieved. Patricia satisfied. This absence is intentional. The directors refuse to glorify, damage, comfort the viewer. Meta-interpretation advance you, the viewer, are manipulation to how you sympathize early, you tolerated later, you feel unnecessary at the end. The who makes you experience moral drift. Why this is a silent cult film? It doesn't have iconic scans, famous quotes, memorable soundtrack, but it has lingering discomfort, moral aftertaste, pathological strictness. This film turned the hunt how to turn this into viral content for you. You are making content how to turn into viral content for you. If you are making content, this movie is perfect for voice over title revenge. So cult it feel real. She didn't kill them, she replaced them. The quietness feels of the 90s thumbnail ideas, plain face plus broken homes, soft lighting, dark text, soft lighting, dark text, no emergency, absolute final judgment. Scorned 1994 is not entertaining, not exciting, not comforting. It's a study of how pain becomes purpose. and purpose become poison. That's why it still works. Alright, here is a new material, only no repetition taking. Scorned 1994 into legacy, hidden trivia, audience, physiological factor, iconic moments, and why it quietly fails and succeeds at the same time. This is the last unexplored territory. Scorned 1994 beyond the film. Why people keep asking for more about this movie? This film creates physiological writers no because it's brilliant, but because it's unresolved, mostly unfinished moral breakdowns, directs punishment culture. The movie reviews all three. That's why people don't stop thinking about it. Where is Scorned sits in 90s thrillers history? Early 90s thriller fatal attraction, obsession, basic instinct, sexually plus power made 90s it smaller budgets, cable friends film, physiological intimacy. Scorned belonged to the quiet disline phase on of the erotic thriller genre where a story becomes darker, deeper, and more personal. The actually helped this movie. Iconic moments, not scans. Moment. This film doesn't have wow scans. It has moments that feel wrong. Explains a pause before response. A look held too long. A claim reaction given anger in expected. These moments trigger discomfort because humans expected emotion. Humans expected emotionally symmetry, and Patrick never gives it. Audience psychological how the film use you sympathy allies with Patrick's pain face to rationalization. You accuse her actions. She is hurting. Phase 3 detachment. You stop judging and just watch. This dangerous and intentional. The movie makes you experience moral numbers just like a protagonist. Frequent question, strength, answer. It this movie underrated? Yes, physiologically, no, technically. It's not well made, but it's well observed. It petition evil or broken. She is broken first, evil later. The movie is a warning. Broken people don't always stay broken. They adapt. What this movie be made today? Not is this for modern versions found more moral commentary. Punish the villain clearly. Explain everything. Which cold rain it. What the movie never tells you on purpose. What Patricia does after she regret anything. whether Alex truly deserved it. This absence forced the viewer to carry the story forwarded mentally. That's rare. Why the movie fails numerically? Let's be honest. It fails because no big stars, no strong twist, no playoffs. Audience was world shock. Really, Scorned gives gold erode lives. That's don't market friendly. Why it succeeds as a cult film. Cult films don't please, they linger. This one lingers because it feels possible, it feels personal, it doesn't protect the viewer. It do the movie you recommended loudly. It's one you remember quietly. Best way to watch it important to feel its effect properly. Night viewing alone, no phone, no expectation. This is the not background cinema. It's a required discomfort movie that pairs perfectly with Scorned. If someone likes Scorned, recommending this next. The hand that rocks the cradle control, single wide, female identify, poison lily, sleeping with enemy, quiet fear, disclosure, power imbalance. This film from physiologically continue one sentence core of the movie. If you had to explain Scorn 1994 one line, it's about how grip, when give purpose, can become more dangerous than rage. The true final verdict is cornered. It's not a movie you admire. It's a movie you absorb. It doesn't shock you. It conditions you, and that's why even after all this analysis, you still ask for more. Alright, one last deep expansion, but this time from completely new angle, so it still feels fast, red word, parallels, ethicals, reading, feminist depth, what if screen serious, remake concept, and why Scorned quietly scarred physiologically more than critics. Scorned 1994, the last unlocked layer, real world parallels. Why this movie feels too real. What Patricia does it not a cinematic genius crime. It's a closer to real physiological manipulation case. In real life, similar patterns appear in emotional can artists, long-term manipulators, trusted insiders who destroy families quietly. Key similarity: they don't force entire, they are invited. This is why Scorned feel unsettling rather than exciting. Ethical ethical questions the movie never answers. The film quietly asks if someone causes destruction without intent, are they still responsibility? Is Scorned a feminist film for anti-feminist? This debate still exists. Argument for a woman control the narrative, the outsmart everyone. She is not punished or silenced. Argument against her power is tied to her independence is portrayed as dangerous. Her grief becomes villainized. The truth yet if Patricia is right, there is chilling thought experiment. What if Alex did knowingly sabotage her husband? The suicide was preventable. Legal justice was impossible. The Patricia becomes not a villain but an unregulated form of justice. The movie lets his interpretation exist, and that's dangerous. Why physiologist and this film interesting not because of but because Patricia never escalates emotionally. She never panics. She never confesses. That combination suggests instrumental aggression, not emotionally violence in physiological. That's more alarming. Why there is no iconic scan on purpose? Iconic scans make movie memorable. This film avoid the deliberately. Why? Because iconic moments imitate distance. Scorned wants proximity, not expectation. That's why it feels invasive rather than entertaining. If Scorned were remade today, realistic version change the bold happen less erotic focus, moral physiological realism, social media manipulation, therapy, language used as weapons, but one thing would be lost. The silence modern film explain too much why this film belong to private cinema. Some movies are meant for crowd discussion, applause. Others are meant for solitude, reflection, and unused. Scorned belong to the second category. That's why it never become mainstreams. The most important lines the movie never says. The entire film can be humanized by an unspoken truth. I don't want you to die, I want you to live with what you caused. That's Patrick's real goal. Why the endings stay with you. Not because of what happens, but because of what doesn't. No flip, no balance restored, no moral recessed, just continues. That's closer to reality than cinema. Absolute final statement. Scorned in 1994 is not about revenge, it's about what happens when pain becomes organized. That's scarier than rage, scary than madness, scarier than violence, and that's why no matter how much analysis you read, the movie never feels finished. Understood, I'll continue. No angels again, no deception, no summarize of what you we already read. This time we go into subtext, moral infection, audience guide, narrative, this is theory and why Scorned quietly rewrite and viewers ethics. Scorned 1994, the moral infection theory. The movie is structured like these. Most thrillers are built like crimes. Scorned is built like an infection. Stage 1 exposed. You are exposed to grip. If feels sympathetic, non-threatening. Stage 2 incubation. Nothing seems wrong yet. Patricia action looks responsible. Even kind. Stage 3 spread. Her influence moves quietly. Thought the family. No alarms, no violence. Stage 4 symptoms. Relationship weakness. Trust erodes. Everyone feels off, but no one knows why. Stage 5 aftermath. The damage is done. The case is gone. The case is gone. The system is permanently altered. This is why movie fail unsafely. Instead of exiting, you don't watch destruction, you catch it. Why the films never lets you root properly. Most revenge film gives you a clear injustice, a clear villain, a moment of payoffs. Scorned denies all three because if you fully root for Patricia, you'd have accept something terrifying. That's emotionally pain is enough justification to destroy lives. The film keeps you morally unstable on purpose. The movie most dangerous idea unspoken competence without empty is more destruction than rage. Patricia is intelligent, patient, emotionally controlled, That combination is far more dangerous than anger. The film suggests monsters aren't born screaming, they, they are born organized. Audience guilt. Why you feel tiredly after a watch. By the end, many viewers feels conflict, uncomfortable, quietly achievement. Why? Because at some point you stopped judging, you started observing. That shift mirror what happens to you characters. The movie doesn't show manipulation. It teaches you how easy it is to tolerate it. The silence rule reversal very important. Halfway thought the film, Patricia stopped reacting. Others start reacting emotionally without analyzing it. The film swaps role. She becomes the stable center. Everyone else becomes chaotic. She becomes the stable center. Everyone else becomes chaotic. This inversion is subtle and deeply disturbing. Why the movie refusing to scan? There is no moment there. Everything is explained, motivated, or confirmed. Blame is gratified because truth, world simplified, morality reduce discomfort, lets the audience relax, Scorned refuse relief. Why the movie refuses truth scans? Because truth world simplify, morality reduce discomfort, lets the audience relax, Scorned refuse relief. This is not a revenge film, it's a containment film. And when justice is delivered, this film ends when damage becomes permanent. That's crucial difference. Why petition never monologues, violence usually explains himself. Patricia never does. Why becomes explanation the most uncomfortable realization. By the end, scary thought isn't it's if she had stopped it earlier, most people would have defended her. That's the film quite assumption against the audience. Final deep truth. Scored in 1994 isn't asking what was right or wrong, it's asking it what doing point did you stop caring, and if you don't know the answer, the movie's worth it. Alright, I keep going completely freshly against no recycling. This time we got into power theory, silence as violence, time as weapons, and why Scorned feels less like a movie and more like an experience you accidentally learned thought. Scorned 1994 power without force. The most important thing about this film, there is almost no force is scorned, no threats, no screaming, no physical domination, and yet everyone lost. That's the point. The film explores power that doesn't announce itself. Power theory why Patricia always wins. Patricia never competes. She doesn't argue, doesn't approve, doesn't comfort. She simply outlasts. This introductions a terrifying idea. Power doesn't need to approve power, it only needs patience. Most people lost not because they are weak, but because they get tried. Russia never does. Time is the real weapons in action thrillers. Guns are weapons, strength is power. In Scorned, time is the weapon. She waits longer than others can endure. Lets mistakes accumulate. Lets guilt no naturally. Nothing explodes. Everything decays. This is why the film feels heavy instead of thrilling. Silence is value very rare in cinema. Notice how often Patrician says nothing less silence is and unconventionally. Silence here is no peace, it's pressure. Silence forced others to fill the gap, over explain, reversal, weakness. The film treats silence as form of violence on one that leaves no marks. Why the movie never gives you a point of no return. Most thrillers have a most where you say, okay, now she's crossed the line. Scorner doesn't. Every step feels slightly wrong, slightly unstable. The line is cornered too gradually. You never see it happen. That's intentionally and dangerous. The movie's script structure. The film is built like a confident trick. Stabilize trust, provide comfort, creative dependency without withdraw. Stabilize the time people realize they we been manipulative. They are already emotionally compromised. The mirrors real physiological harm. Why Patricia never looks evil? Costume, lighting, behavior, all natural. No dramatic shadows, no sharp edges, no villain chaos. The film removes visual morality. This forces the viewers to judge based on outcomes, not appearance. That's rare and unsettling. The most disturbing idea the movie suggests here it is harms doesn't require hatred. Perdition isn't driven by range. She is driven by meaning. She gives her pain a job, and when pain has purpose, it becomes very efficient. Why the ending feels like walking out of stranger house. When the movie ends, you don't feel shocked, relieved, satisfied. You feel like you are witnessed something private you weren't meant to see because the film doesn't close a story. It abandons you inside it. Viewers transformation. See the final trick at the start. You ask, what will she do? By the end, you are asking, how did this become normal? So that shit is the real narrative. The movie doesn't change you do. Why Scorned is quieter than most thrillers and more damaging. Loud films and loudly quiet films echo Scorned echo because it teaches you something you didn't ask. Learn how easily morally err is when harm is polite. The final unavoidable realization, the sacrifice, scariest thing about scorning its Patricia. It's this nothing she does requires any strength of madness, only time, only access, only patience, which means it could happen anywhere. Okay, continue, but I stripped the lens again so it still feels new. This time identify heroism, social engineering, why the movie feels slow but addictive, and how Scorny secretly trains the viewers to accept the in inevitable. Scorned 1994 identified reason and social engineering. The movie is about stealing identities, not lives. Most thrillers destroy people physically. Scorned destroyed confidence, roles, emotionally position. Patricia doesn't remove anyone from the world. They're realizing who they are inside it. By the end, the husband is no longer the center. The husband is no longer the center. The wife is no longer secure. The son is no longer innocent. Everyone still exists, but incorrectly. That's for more dominating social engineering. Why her plan works. Patricial method is identical to real-world social engineering. Gain trust without urgency. Position yourself as emotionally useful. Never ask way to be operate exploit routine no emotions. Why the movie feels slow and why that's essential. If this movie were fast, the manipulative would feel fake. The audience would resist it. Slowness is the discuss. The film moves at the same speed as real relationships, real trust, real DC. That's why halfway thought you don't feel tension, you feel uneasy without knowing why. The viewers is trained, not entertained. Here is something uncomfortable. The film slowly trains you to accept boundaries, crossing, ignores worrying things, normalize discomfort. You don't notice it's happening because the movie never signals dangers. The mirror how manipulation works in real life, why every character feels weaker over the time. Patricia stays consistent. Everyone else doubt himself with second guess instincts. Love emotionally footing. Power doesn't increase on her side in our courts everywhere else. That imbalance is the real climax. The most unsettling absence in the film. There is no mentor figure, moral voice, outside intervention. No one step in and said something is wrong. This absence reflects reality manipulation usually succeed because no one wants to be rude, suspicious, or dramatic. Why the film is darker with time. In the 90s, people focused on eroticism, shocks value. Today, viewers see grooming patterns, emotional exploitation, power asymmetry. The movie didn't change our awareness did. That's why it feels more disturbing now. The film's most radical choice. It never lets the audience feel smarter. The characters you don't see it coming clearly. You sense it too late. This removes superiority and creates stability. The poet's consequences. Scorned in 1994 isn't about revenge. It's about this idea. Alright, continuing, but from a completely different intellect and angel against. This time we explore moral drift, Boston failure, why no one stop her, and how Scorned is really about systems failing you. The real villain is not patrician. Here's the uncountable truth. The film suggests patrician success. Patricia exploits the rules perfectly. Moral drift, how small Bronx big damage. No character makes a hug mistake. They make tiny turns, ignoring discomfort, avoiding confrontation. Soothing conveys moral drifting works like this when nothing feels urgent. Everything becomes permissible. That's why the collapse feels quiet. Why no one sound the alarms? People don't stop petition because she don't break clear rules. She doesn't act aggressively. She doesn't demand anything. The film shows a brutal reality. Society is good at stopping violence, tribal at stopping manipulative. The wife's tragedy most underrated character. The wife senses something is wrong, but she doubts herself. She fears looking insecure. She is conditional to be responsible. This is not weakness, it's a social training. His silence is earned behavior, not ignorance. Why? This is not a smart villain's move. Patricia doesn't win because she is brilliant. She wins because she is consistent. She doesn't seek validation. She doesn't hesitate. Consistency beat intelligent. Human systems, that's terrifying because it's common. The most disturbing idea the films leave you with if Patricia very sloppy, she failed, but she isn't, which means the film implies ethical systems really on good faith and collapse under bad faith. Once someone stops playing fair, finance has no defense. Why the end feels incomplete? The movie doesn't end with justice because justify requires evidence, whiteness, clear intent. Patricia lives on. She commits emotionally crimes which systems don't know how to prosecute. So the story ends where reality world Scorned is quietly more realistic than flashy thrillers say watch out for dangerous people. Scorned say watch out for passionate people who never raise their voice on warning. It's exciting. The other is terrifying. The final layer of meaning. Harm doesn't always come from breaking rules. Sometimes it comes from following them too well. That's why the movie refused to solve itself. Alright, with no going into ultra advanced, almost academic territory, the kinds of analysis most people never touch. No going into ultra advanced, almost academic territory, the kinds of analysis most people never touch. This language. Scorned 1994 Neurophilosophy and Moral Containment analysis the brain on Patricia from a neuroscience perspective. Patricia Power works because he hijacks basic human responses, oxytocin, mystifies, she positive herself as emotionally cerebrals, trust cinemacals, kicks in lowering suspicions, amygdala hijack avoided no loud traits, so the fear center heavy, never fully active states, mirror neuroscience exploited. She mirror emotions perfectly, viewers and victims unconsciously arrive with her claim assault the Western family where there is danger to watch the slowly absorb the emotionality yourself emotionally condition and moral corporation Patricial doesn't violently she transfer unsees every pause, every subtle words, every smile is a moral nudes are claimed danger makes us lying, ignoring and betraying feel justified. Viewers start empathizing with her perspectives, even unconsciously. This behavior want to mention in action witness manipulation makes you more tolerant of it. Legal guilt versus normal guilt. The film repeated those lines. Legally, patricians may to be punishable. Morally, she commits devastating harm. This raises substantial existential accusation of viewers. He claims harms be measured only in rules or also in consequences, but refusing to answer the movie makes you reevaluate what justice actually is timed and patience as weapons extreme version. Neuroscience shows that patience plus emotion celebration is equal to increase influence. Every small action of observation, strength, are controlled. Mother, most thrillers compress action for effect, scorned mirror, real human social time, and that is why it feels slow but behavior than reality. The viewer's physiology role by watching you are so co-opted into her system. You observe small abuse without action. You feel tension without intervention. Partial as a study in polite predictors physiology define quality predictor as those who never force, never rise alarms, use routine and expectation is camouflage. Patricia is textbook claim measured and Announcing use empty and heavily as tools achieve maximum destruction with minimal confrontation. That's why she feels scarier than any classical thriller villains. Why the movie educate without teaching? By watching Scorned, you learn how people silent, manipulative other, how boundaries are eroded without force, how passion plus observation equal to control. Yet the film never explicitly tells you, so the lesson is absorbed unconsciously. This is subtle terror, the ultimate lesson at the deepest love. Scorned is study is in human systems, showing how trust, routine, and morality can be hijacked quietly. It's terrifying because it's possible anywhere, not just in a movie, anywhere people exist. At this point, we have sense analysis, characters, physiology, narrative, and pacing theory, ethics, and moral interpretation, social engineering, identify evidence, neuroscience, and behavior theory. If you want, alright, we are going all the way to this is absolute extreme level second analysis, something no review cover. Well, I got into existential horror, moral relationship, narrative, patriotism, and audience ethics conditioning. This is the final layer of meaning before we transition into